Hello everyone. Today we have to discuss about urea cycle. Okay. As you know that the end product of urea, the urea is the end product of nitrogen waste that form in the body and in the liver. Okay. This nitrogen waste, particularly ammonia, converted into the urea. Okay. So, because ammonia is very toxic to the body, so immediately it convert into the urea. Okay, and urea is the less toxic as compared to the ammonia. Okay, so when the urea is formed, okay, so today we have to discuss the pathway by which the urea is formed in the liver. Okay, these are the learning objective of today's lecture. So after completing the discussion, the student able to understand the pathway of urea cycle and how the urea cycle regulate in the body and what is how many ATP are utilized during the process of urea cycle and physiological importance of urea cycle. Okay, so first of all, we discuss the general view about urea cycle. So the urea cycle is the first metabolic pathway which elucidated or discovered. Okay, and this cycle is also called Krebs-Henselt urea cycle, and another name of this cycle is ornithine cycle because the first intermediate is formed during the process of urea formation is ornithine. Okay, and urea is synthesized in the liver and transported to kidney for excretion in urine. So the two nitrogen atom of urea are derived from two different sources. Okay, one from the ammonia and other from the amino acid, particularly aspartic acid. Okay, and the carbon atom is supplied by the carbon dioxide. And urea is the end product of protein metabolism or amino acid metabolism. And urea accounts for 80 to 90% of the nitrogen containing substance and finally it excreted out of the body through the urine. And urea synthesis have five step cyclic process which carried by the five distinct enzymes, and the first two enzymes are present in the mitochondria and the rest of the enzyme present in the cytosol. Okay, so some of the reaction or two reaction carried in the mitochondria, then the rest of the reaction carried in the cytosol. So this is the overview of urea cycle. Okay, so as you have to see that the ammonia, which is end product of amino acid metabolism or protein metabolism. Okay, so this is toxic to the body. So it immediately with the carbon dioxide converted to the carbonyl phosphate. Okay, then carbonyl phosphate react with the ornithine to form citrulline. Then citrulline react with the aspartate to form genosuccinate. Okay, so in this reaction, the fumigate also form, which entered into the TCA cycle, and some of the intermediate of the cycle also linked with the TCA cycle, and the arginosuccinate convert into the arginine, which cleave into the urea and regenerate ornithine. Okay. So this is the overview of urea cycle. Okay, the urea structure is NH2CONH2. So the first step is formation of carboxyl phosphate catalyzed by the enzyme carboxyl phosphate synthase first. Okay, this enzyme found in the mitochondrial matrix, and this enzyme catalyze the condensation of ammonium ion with carbon dioxide and form carboxyl phosphate. So this step utilize 2 ATP and is irreversible. Okay, so that's why it is a regulatory step of urea cycle, and it is a rate limiting step. Okay, it controls the speed or rate of formation of urea in the body. Okay, and carboxyl phosphate synthase first require N-acetyl glutamate for its activity. Okay, as a coenzyme, and carboxyl phosphate second is also found, but this carboxyl phosphate synthase second present in the cytosol and it involved in the pyrimidine synthesis, and so do not confuse with the name. Okay, this is carboxyl phosphate first, which catalyze the first step of nucleocycle, which is present in the mitochondria. But another enzyme of the same name involved in the pyrimidine synthesis, which is present in the cytosol, and it accepts amino group from glutamine and does not require N-acetyl glutamate for its activity, while carboxyl phosphate synthase first require N-acetyl glutamate for their activity. Okay, so in this step, the carboxyl phosphate is formed. So this is the reaction how this formation of carboxyl phosphate is take place. So carbon dioxide plus NH3 plus 2 ATP, enzyme carboxyl phosphate synthase first, okay, and coenzyme N-acetyl glutamate, and product or intermediate is carboxyl phosphate plus 2 ATP plus phosphate. So, what is the difference between the carboxyl phosphate first and second? So, difference is the carboxyl phosphate synthase first found in the mitochondria, while carboxyl phosphate synthase second found in the cytosol, and carboxyl phosphate synthase substrate is ammonia, while the substrate for carboxyl phosphate synthase second is glutamine, and the carboxyl phosphate synthase first found in the urea cycle, while carbon phosphate synthesis second involved in the pyrimidine biosynthesis, and this enzyme carbon phosphate synthesis first activated by the N-acetyl glutamate, while carboxyl phosphate second inhibited by the CTP, okay, which is a nucleotide, and step second is formation of citrulline. So this is the second reaction in the urea cycle, which also carried in the mitochondria, and citrulline is synthesized from carboxyl phosphate and ornithine by ornithine transcarbamylase. So this enzyme catalyzes the formation of citrulline, and after the end of the cycle, the ornithine is regenerated and used again in the urea cycle. So ornithine and citrulline are basic amino acid, but never found in the protein structure because these two amino acid lack codons. Okay, that's why these amino acids not found in the protein structure. And citrulline is transported to cytosol because rest of the reaction carried in the cytosol. Or for the transportation, it has a special transporter system, and citrulline is neither present in tissue protein nor in the blood, but it is present in the milk. So this is the steps second formation of citrulline. So here you have to summarize the reaction. Ornithine plus carboxyl phosphate form the product or intermediate is citrulline plus phosphate. Enzyme that catalyze this conversion, ornithine transcarbamylase. The step 3 is formation of arginosuccinate, and this is third step that involved in the urea cycle, and citrulline condenses with aspartate to form arginosuccinate by the enzyme arginosuccinate synthetase. Okay, so the arginosuccinate synthetase catalyzes the formation of arginosuccinate from citrulline and aspartate, and second amino group of urea is incorporated at this step, and it requires ATP, and it is cleaved to AMP and pyrophosphate, which is equivalent to the 2 ATP, because here two high energy bonds are break and immediately broken down to inorganic phosphate. And the step 4 is formation of arginine or cleavage of arginosuccinate. So the enzyme arginosuccinase or arginosuccinate lyase cleaves arginosuccinate to arginine and fumarate, which is an intermediate of TCA cycle, Krebs cycle. And fumarate provides a connecting link between TCA cycle or gluconeogenesis. Okay, that's why the urea cycle linked with the TCA cycle. Some of the intermediate can have same as with the TCA cycle. and the fumarate is converted to oxaloacetate via fumarase and malate dehydrogenase and transaminated to aspartate, which is again used in the urea cycle. So this step, aspartate is regenerated in this reaction, as you have to see that for fumarate to convert into the malate by the enzyme fumarase, then by the enzyme malate dehydrogenase, this malate convert into the oxaloacetate. Finally, amino transferase convert oxaloacetate into the aspartate, okay? Which is the essential amino acid in the urea cycle. And formation of urea. This is fifth step in the urea cycle, and arginase is the fifth and final enzyme that cleaves arginine to urea and ornithine. So this is a significant step in the urea cycle, because with this step the urea is formed, and along with urea ornithine is regenerated that enter into the mitochondria for its reuse in the urea cycle. And arginase is activated by the cofactor cobalt and manganese, and ornithine and lysine compete with arginine, okay, just like competitive inhibition. And arginase is mostly found in the liver, while the rest of enzyme of urea cycle are also present in the other tissues. So arginine synthesis may occur to varying degree in many tissue, but only the liver can ultimately produce urea. So the urea is the major site for synthesis of urea. So this figure shows the how the urea cycle linked with the TCA cycle. Okay, and you have to see that the sum of the step in occur in the mitochondria. Okay, as the first step, that catalyzed by the carbonyl phosphosynthase first. Okay, where the carbon dioxide react with ammonia, okay, to form carboxyl phosphate, this one, okay, and now this carboxyl phosphate convert into the citrulline, as you have to see that here, okay, then argiosuccinate, then arginine, then arginase, okay. So here you can see that how these intermediate link with the TCA cycle, okay, because some of the intermediate involved in the TCA cycle. Here you can see that the uh, arginine, okay, arginine provide the only thing, okay, for the reuse in during the urea cycle. So finally, the how many ATP is utilized in the urea cycle. So this is the overall reaction: NH3 plus CO2 plus aspartate equal to urea plus fumarate. Here, two ATP are used in the first reaction, and another is ATP is converted into the AMP, which is also equivalent to the two ATP. So total four ATP used during the urea cycle. So the urea cycle consumes four high energy phosphate bond, which is equivalent to the four ATP, and fumarate formed in the fourth step may be converted to malate. Okay, because this is the intermediate of TCA cycle. And malate, when oxidized to oxaloacetate, it may produce one NADH. Okay, and which is equivalent to the 2.5 ATP. Okay, so the net energy expenditure is only 1.5 high energy phosphate. Okay, so if we compare the overall energetics, okay, so the net expenditure is 1.5. Okay, 4 minus 2.5. Okay, this is 1.5. So the urea cycle and TS cycle are interlinked. Okay, that's why the energy consumption is low, and it is called urea bicycle sometimes. So what is the significance of urea cycle? So in this urea cycle, the toxic ammonia is converted into the non-toxic urea. Okay, so this is very significant step during the urea cycle, because as you know that ammonia is very toxic to the cells. So when it formed during the amino acid metabolism or protein catabolism, okay, it immediately convert into the urea by the urea cycle and synthesis of semi-essential amino acid like arginine. Okay, so this is another significance of urea cycle. So because due to the urea cycle, the arginine is also formed, and only thing is precursor of proline. Okay, so whenever required, it from proline, polyamines, and polyamines include protosine, spermidine, and spermine. And these polyamines have diverse role in cell growth and proliferation. Okay, so that's why it has three important function. Okay, first is the removal of toxic ammonia. Second, the formation of arginine. Third, formation of proline and polyamine. Okay, as it is precursor, only thing is precursor of these molecules. Okay, so how the cycle regulated? So the carbonyl phosphate synthase first is rate limiting enzyme in the urea cycle, and this enzyme allosteric activated by an acetyl glutamate. Okay, so allosteric means if it has a sigmoidal type of curve while we study the rate of reaction. Okay, so it allosterically regulate. Okay, so electricity regulate means this enzyme has additional site, okay, apart from active site, okay, which is called allosteric site. Okay, so this allosteric site, when N-acetyl glutamate bind with this allosteric site, this enzyme activate. Okay, when this allosteric site is not activate, so it cannot bind and cannot activate the pathway. Okay, so that's why this is significance of uh, regulation of urea cycle, and it is synthesized from glutamate and acetyl coenzyme by synthase and degraded by hydrolase. Okay, and the rate of urea synthesis in liver is correlated with the conversion of N-acetyl glutamate. Okay, so this is the molecule which allosterically regulate the urea cycle. Okay, how it regulate? It regulate the carboxyl phosphate synthesis one. Okay, so this is important step of urea cycle. So high concentration of arginine increase N-acetyl glutamate. Okay, and because if arginine is in high concentration, so the urea production is increased. Okay, so the consumption of protein-rich meal increase the level of N-acetyl glutamine in the liver. Okay, ultimately it increase the synthesis of urea. Okay, so that's why it is allosterically regulated by the N-acetyl glutamate. And carbohydrate synthesis first and glutamate dehydrogenase, both enzymes are present in the mitochondria, and they coordinate with each other in the formation of ammonia and its utilization for carboxyl phosphate synthesis, because this is the first step. Okay, so if, whenever the ammonia is formed, it immediately convert into the carboxyl phosphate. Okay, by the enzyme carboxyl phosphate synthase first. Okay, and this N-acetyl glutamate activate the enzyme carboxyl phosphate. Okay, so here the regulation type is allosteric regulation of carboxyl phosphate synthase one or urea cycle. Okay, so another term here is compartmentalization. Okay, so compartmentalization is that some of the reaction carried in the mitochondria. So there is a compartment. Mitochondria act as another compartment, and some of the reaction catalyze in the cytoplasm. So cytoplasm also act as another compartment. Okay, so that's why here compartmentalization is seen, because some of the reaction catalyze in the chamber of mitochondria, and some of the reaction catalyzed in the chamber of cytoplasm. So here we can say that there is in the urea cycle there is compartmentalization is there, the first two enzymes found in the mitochondria, and fumigate inhibit fourth step of urea cycle, and fumigate found in the mitochondria, and arterosuccinate lies found in the cytoplasm. Okay, so here we have seen that compartmentalization. Okay, some of the enzymes found in the mitochondria and some of the enzymes found in the cytoplasm. That's why some of the reaction of urea cycle carried in the mitochondria, and some of the reaction of urea cycle are carried in the cytoplasm. And now disposal of urea. So urea produced in the liver freely diffused and transported in the blood to kidney and excreted. Okay, so this process is called urine formation. Okay, or excretion. Okay, so when the urea is produced, it diffuse into the blood, and through the blood it carried to the kidney, and through the kidney it filtered, okay, and expelled out from the body, and a small amount of urea enters the intestine. Okay, so what happens in intestine it broken down into carbon dioxide and ammonia by the bacterial enzyme urease. Okay, so this ammonia is either lost in the feces or absorbed in the blood. Okay, so it is if we absorb in the blood, it again convert into the urea. Okay, and there are some disorders is there because whole urea cycle catalyzed by the enzyme. Okay, if there is any deficiency of enzyme, okay, any defect in the enzyme is there, so definitely it will lead to a certain disorder. Okay, because it involves the enzymes. So the main function of urea cycle is to remove toxic ammonia from blood as urea, and defect in the metabolism of conversion of ammonia to urea leads to a serious complications. Okay, because ammonia is toxic to the body, and urea cycle leads to hyperammonemia or ammonia intoxication. Okay, so the process in this the ammonia concentration increase in the blood is called hyperammonemia or ammonia intoxication. Okay, which is very dangerous state because ammonia is very toxic. Okay, it may lead to death. And hyperammonemia, it is inherited disorder of urea cycle enzyme. Okay, familiar hyperammonemia. Okay, so some of the genetic disease. Okay, and some disorder are acquired. Okay, like if there is a liver disease there, if severe renal disease, if okay, if at that time when it is acquired disorder, okay, not genetic, so this is called acquired hyperammonemia. Okay, if it is inherited disorder, so it is called familial hyperammonemia. Okay, so hyperammonemia is two types. One if inherited, okay, from family, so it is called familial hyperammonemia, or if it is acquired, it is due to the liver disease, liver cirrhosis, or any renal disease, okay, or in inefficiency of kidney to remove urea from the blood. Okay, so in either case, the ammonia increase in the blood circulation, and this is called acquired hyperammonemia, and another is called familial hyperammonemia. Okay, both are dangerous. So, so ultimately, ammonia toxicity increase level of ammonia. Okay, and ammonia molecule can cross blood-brain barrier. Okay, so these blood-brain barrier, if it cross, it reach to the brain. Okay, and affect the cells or disturb the cells of brain, and formation of glutamate is there if there is excess ammonia is there. Okay, so more utilization of alpha ketoglutarate. Okay, so what happens in the brain, because when the ammonia level is increased, it react with the alpha ketoglutarate and form glutamate. Okay, and it leads to the decreased alpha ketoglutarate level. Okay, or do you know that alpha ketoglutarate is the intermediate in the TCA cycle? Okay, so definitely it affects the TCA cycle. Okay, so decrease TCA cycle ultimately decrease the ATP production. Okay, so the energy that required for the brain is not to fulfill. Okay, that's why it person may lead to coma. Okay, due to the decreased energy or ATP supply to the brain. Okay, so that's why it is very dangerous condition. Okay, and this is called ammonia toxicity. Okay, that's why ammonia gas is that's why ammonia gas is under the category of toxic gases. And another condition is hepatic coma, which lead to the acquired hyperammonemia, and during or in the disease of liver or hepatic failure, finally lead to the hepatic coma and death. Okay, and hyperammonemia is the characteristic of feature of liver failure. Okay, because if the liver is not functional. So in that condition, the ammonia accumulates in the blood, okay, because it cannot convert into the urea. Okay, so ultimately it leads to the acquired hyperammonemia and results in the hepatic coma. Okay, ultimately it leads to death, and the condition is also known as a portal systemic encephalopathy. Okay. So normally the ammonia and other toxic compounds produced by intestinal bacterial metabolism are transported to liver by portal circulation, and it is detoxified by the liver. But when there is portal systemic shunting of blood, the toxins bypass the liver and their concentration in the systemic circulation. That is the cellular circulation that supply blood to the different organ or cells or tissue, enter and increase ammonia level in the systemic circulation. It also dangerous. Okay, and what are the sign, symptoms, and treatment of this disorder. So, central nervous system dysfunction has to be observed, and manifestation of failure of liver function, like ascites, jaundice, hepatomegaly, edema, hemorrhage. Okay, these type of symptom has to be observed, and the management of the condition is very difficult, and low protein diet and intestinal disinfection, that is bowel clearing and antibiotics, and then holding hepatotoxic drug and maintenance of electrolyte and acid balance. Okay, is only the treatment of the disorder. So, there are some inherited disorder is also there. Okay, like if there is a defect in carboxyl phosphate synthesis first. Okay, so it leads to the hyperammonemia first disorder. Okay, and the product that accumulated in the blood is ammonia. Okay, because ammonia cannot utilize for the formation of urea because it affects the first step of the urea cycle, and the ornithine transcarbamylase okay defective enzyme is there, so it leads to the hyperammonemia second. Okay, so if ornithine transcarbamylase is affected, so ultimately the ammonia cannot be consumed and cannot be converted into the urea, and ultimately it increase in the blood. And if there is a defect in the arginine succinate synthesis enzyme, okay, so this enzyme required for conversion or formation of intermediate citrulline, formation of breakdown of citrulline. So that's why if aminosuccinate synthesis enzyme has a defect, so it leads to the increased citrulline into the blood, and this condition is called citrullinemia. And if there is defect in the arginosuccinate lyase, okay, which cleaves the arginosuccinate. Okay, so when arginosuccinate is not cleaved into their products, so ultimately the accumulation of arginosuccinate has to be there in the blood. Okay, and this condition is called arginosuccinic aciduria. Okay, and it affect the blood pH. And another enzyme is there if there is defect in the arginase enzyme. So, That's why in the unicycle, the arginine cannot be used. Okay, that's why the product accumulated in the blood is arginine, and this condition is known as arginemia. Okay, so these are the various disorder of urea cycle. So another disorder is N-acetyl glutamate synthase deficiency. Okay, so this is a autosomal recessive disorder. Okay, so what is the autosomal recessive disorder? So if there is a defect in the autosomes, okay, so there are two kind of disorders there. One is in defect in the allele that present on the sex chromosome. Okay, X X chromosome. Okay, while if there is defect in defective allele found on the autosomal chromosome, so this is called autosomal. Recessive means the two defective allele required to inherit that defect. Okay, minimum two allele. Okay, so this is called autosomal recessive. So N-acetyl glutamate synthase deficiency is autosomal recessive disorder. Okay, and a severe neonatal disorder with fatal consequences. Okay, so it has to be seen in the neonates, and treatment with structural analog and carbamyl L-glutamate, okay, used for the treatment of this disorder, and this analog, okay, of N-acetyl-glutamate, uh, that is N-carbamyl L-glutamate, activate carbamyl phosphate synthesis faster, which is the enzyme that catalyzes the first step of UPA cycle, okay, which is used in the treatment of N-acetyl glutamate synthase deficiency and ornithine transporter deficiency. Uh, this is due to the deficiency of ORNT1 gene, okay, and this gene located at the autosomal chromosome, and the both defective gene required to uh, disorder, and only thing is accumulated in the cytoplasm. Okay, because only thing cannot consume because there is inefficiency of N-acetyl glutamate is there, because in previous slide we have to discuss that N-acetyl glutamate is required to activate carbamyl phosphosynthase 1. Okay, that's why the which utilize only thing. Okay, so that's why the only thing is accumulated in the cytoplasm. It is also known as HHA syndrome, or hyperornithinemia, or hyperammonemia, and homocystinuria. Okay, so these are the some other name of this disorder, which is due to the N-acetyl glutamate synthase deficiency. So, what are the symptoms of this disorder, which is due to the deficiency of N-acetyl glutamate? So, increased level of ammonia, okay, because ammonia cannot be consumed during the urea formation, because the first step, uh, the coenzyme that activate first step enzymes, okay, is not activate, and slurring of speech, and blurring of vision, and convulsions, and nausea or vomiting, and neurological defect, and mental retardation, and ultimately coma, which lead to death. Okay, so these are the serious complications or symptoms while there is deficiency of N-acetyl glutamate is there. Okay, so that's why each and every intermediate and coenzyme is essential to carry the urea cycle into normal phase. And what are the diagnosis? So increased level of ammonia in the blood and urine is there. So increased glutamine has to be observed in the cerebrospinal fluid, or it excreted in the urine. Okay, so by the analysis of blood and urine, okay, uh, is a diagnostics method of diagnosis of this disorder. If there is a glutamine increase, has to be observed in the cerebrospinal fluid, or urine and decrease blood urea level. Okay, and because the urea is not formed, that's why the blood urea level is decreased, and unicycle intermediate accumulate in the blood and exit in the urine. If there is a other intermediate of unicycle is found in the blood at in level at high level of their normal range. Okay, so by the test of urine and blood, uh, it has to be diagnosed that the disorder is there or not, and what's the treatment of this disorder. So intravenous administration of sodium benzoate and phenyl acetate can be utilized for its treatment, and these are condensed with glycine and glutamate to form a water-soluble product that can be easily excreted. Okay, and why this ammonia can be trapped and removed from the body, and in toxic hypervolemia, hemodialysis become necessary. Okay, and what's the significance of blood urea? So the normal blood urea concentration is the 10 to 40 milligram per dl. Okay, if there is a high urea or low urea is there, it leads to the disorder or any disorder. So about 15 to 30 gram of urea is excreted in urine per day. Okay, and blood urea estimation is a screening test for the evaluation of kidney function. Okay, so this is called kidney function test. Okay, in which blood urea level has to be checked, and elevation in blood urea may be broadly classified into three categories. That is pre-renal category, or renal category, or post-renal category. So in the pre-renal category is associated with increased protein breakdown, leading to negative nitrogen balance. Okay, has to be observed, and after it has to be observed after major surgery, prolonged fever, diabetic coma, thyrotoxicosis. Okay, and in leukemia and bleeding disorder also blood urea is elevated. Okay, so this is called pre-renal condition. A renal condition, in renal disorder like acute glomerulonephritis, chronic nephritis, nephrosclerosis, polycystic kidney, okay, blood urea is increased. Okay, and during the postrenal condition, due to the obstruction in the urinary tract, okay, like any tumor, stone, enlargement of prostate gland, okay, blood urea level is elevated. Okay, and this is due to increased reabsorption of urea from the renal tubule. Okay, so this is called post renal. So this is the references. Okay, this is the reference book of biochemistry, or textbook of biochemistry, Yusuf Narayan, and another book of biochemistry, uh, DM Vasudevan. Now you have to attempt quiz. So the first question is, which of the following structure facilitate easy passage of small molecule to the glomerular capsule? Okay. So, which of the following is correct option? Bowman's capsule, glomerulus, leukophile, proximal tubule. Okay. So we have to know that the filtration is carried into the uh, glomerulus that found in the Bowman's capsule. Okay, so the Bowman's capsule facilitate easy passage of small molecule. Glomerulus facilitate is passage of small molecule into the Bowman's capsule. Okay, so the correct option is B. So which of the two waste products are removed from the blood in the liver? Okay, so so option C is correct. Okay, that is ammonia and CO2. Okay. Now urea is formed from which toxic material? Okay, so which of the toxic material? As we have to discuss that, the ammonia is formed by the catabolism of protein. Okay, so the correct option is B, ammonia. And urea cycle provide intermediate for which pathway? Okay, as we have to discuss several times, the some of the intermediate of urea cycle also the part of the TCA cycle. So the correct option is C. And what enhances urea synthesis? Okay, so first of all, increase level of N-acetyl glutamate. Okay, second, protein rich diet. Okay, so both option D is correct, both A and C. Okay, so which of the following is significance of urea cycle? So urea cycle regulate blood pressure, no. Regulate blood volume, no. Regulate blood flow, no. So regulate blood pH, it is correct answer. Okay. So why ornithine and citrulline not found in the protein structure? Okay, and this point we have to discuss several times because they lack codons. Okay, because there is no codons for ornithine and citrulline, that's why it is not found in the protein. And which of the following statement is not true? For ATP molecule are required for synthesis of urea, correct? And carbon phosphate first is the principal enzyme in urea cycle, correct. High concentration of ammonia stimulate the cycle, correct. And urea dispose CO2, ammonia and whiting. Okay, this is not true. Okay, because it only dispose ammonia. Okay, so thank you everyone.